Welcome back, guys. Now, there's been a major update to the Divino Nino Daycare issue. If you are not familiar with this case, just kindly pause here and go back to my playlist. You would find that there is a previous video talking about the genesis of this issue and how come, unfortunately, a 1-year-old boy who had just been sent to this daycare center located at Bronx in New York in the United States of America, unfortunately ended up being in critical condition at the hospital, all because the owner of this daycare and then a cousin of her husband, as well as her husband, allegedly were. This is very unfortunate, but the case has been unfolding and there has been an update now after the arrest of the owner by name Gray Mendes de Ventura, who is just 36 years old, alongside the cousin of her husband by name Calisto Acevedo Brito, who is also 41 years old. Her husband is still currently on the run and he is being hunted down by police. I know that he's eventually going to get caught. You can't outrun the law forever. So the earlier he surrenders, the better. Because I think that the more he stays on the run, the more he makes himself look guilty or suspicious. And it serves him well to turn himself in and then face the law squarely, especially based on what has already happened per the alleged activities he's supposed to be engaged in. So this case has been traveling for over a week now, and after the arrest, we're looking forward to the possibility of charges being brought against these people. Fortunately, they have now been charged. Both the owner, Gray Mendes de Ventura, and the cousin of her husband by name Calisto Acevedo Brito have both been charged with federal charges, which can see them serving up to 20 years in jail if found guilty. And the trial is yet to start, but I don't think, personally, of course, I don't feel that that would be enough to give justice to the memory of the 1-year-old Nicholas Felice Dominici, his mother, Zoila Dominici, his father, Otonel Felice, as well as his loved ones and other family members. 20 years, I still feel is not enough. But the irony of the whole thing is, the daycare is called Divino Nino. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with this Latin name or this Latin word, it translates to Divine Child Jesus. And this is where the whole thing gets so sad. You've set up a daycare and you've named it after a divine child Jesus. If you're a Christian, I'm sure you appreciate how sanctimonious that means. This is depicting the baby Jesus as a name for a daycare, and you go ahead to deal with the institution, putting these kids at risk. I think that this is very unfortunate, and I have a suspicion that they are not the only institution practicing this. I personally believe this could be a front that is working for them, or that was working for them and is working for other people as well. There are likely to be other businesses which have been used as fronts, which are now familiar with law enforcement, that these businesses need close attention on them because information or intelligence may have proven that they are usually used as fronts for organized crime. So it looks like some of these guys are now trying to be smart and veer into setting up institutions which require trust from the public, institutions that are based on trust, such that security agencies wouldn't even blink an eye or have a second thought about they being used as fronts for such criminal enterprises. I think strongly that they are not the only ones doing this. I don't think Divino Nino is an exception. I think that there could be more. Maybe not necessarily daycare institutions, but other forms of institutions which front as welcoming institutions that people have trusted, but behind the scenes are functioning in a totally different manner, breaking the law. Because mind you, a daycare is an institution that is based on trust. If you don't trust a daycare, you don't go and leave your infant child with them. It is an institution that calls for trust, such that you believe they can take good care of your kids, you believe your kids should be safe with them for the period you'll be away, and you leave your kids in their custody, strongly believing that everything is going to be well by the time you come back. So, if this is where things are getting to with such institutions, then it's a problem. And I feel that this is likely to be a wake-up call for all the stakeholders involved in granting licenses to such institutions, and even also dictate the manner, the frequency, and the depth to which these periodic checks on these institutions should go. Because mind you, it's been reported that just a few weeks before this tragic incident, this institution had been subjected to a check and they had passed. But then it turns out that the institution that conducted the check had not trained its officers on how to determine or how to detect these kind of substances on premises. So even if these substances were there, the officials who came didn't have the know-how to know that they were there. And I think that this is a wake-up call. I wouldn't be surprised if these trainings are already being given to these officers who come on the ground to do these checks, because it totally exposes that the officers who are sent to the field need to be upgraded. There's a knowledge gap that has become very key to the success of what they are sent out to do and what their institution stands for in the protection of the general public, such that there should be reforms. There should be upgrading of trainings, knowledge gaps should be filled such that these officers can go out there and now they are well equipped to detect any of such things. They should even be trained to the extent they can detect such trap doors and stuff, because when police went there, they found a trap. If you don't know a trap, it's just like a secret compartment. It can be created in a house, in a room, in a car, in anything, practically. So something can be hidden in there, which makes it difficult for people to find or even detect in the first place. So they had something like this on the premises of the daycare, and they were keeping these illegal substances there. That is how critical it is. They did all this without recourse to the health and safety of the kids in their custody. And like I said in the first video, I'm most disappointed in the owner, Gri Mendez de Ventura, because aside being the owner, she is also a woman. And it's actually expected that she, being a woman, she should have more empathy for these kids. She should be able to feel more towards these kids to the extent that she wouldn't allow this unholy union between herself and these two men to bring such substances around these kids, when the institution in itself has been named after baby Jesus and is also being trusted with the health and safety of these kids. I feel that their greed surpassed their common sense and their empathy and sympathy, and the law, I'm happy, is going to take its course. Now, Mendez was actually pleading to be granted bail in the sum of $100,000, but the judge declined, at which point she broke down and started crying. And I was asking myself, why do you want to be granted bail and why are you crying if you are refused? She went on to indicate through her defense that she's not a flight risk. And I was like, really? Like, seriously? I think you're a flight risk. I'm no expert, but my personal opinion is that she's a flight risk. Mind you, when these kids started reacting to this illegal substance, Instead of Mendez calling 911 straight away upon noticing, she rather took time to call her husband 3 times to inform him that he needs to come and get these substances off the premises before she would call 911 because she knew the police would come along. That is the kind of person that she is. So you've actually even helped someone escape with the substances, and you are helping someone flee technically because the guy is still on the run. Her husband is still on the run. You've already aided somebody to try and evade the law. And you want to convince the same law that you are not a flight risk? Well, she's excused. So we are waiting to see how things will proceed from this point. And I'm hoping that there could be a sentence far harsher than the 20 years. Because I think they need to have quality time behind bars to serve as an example to other people out there. And like I said in my first video, for all parents out there, please, when you take your kids to an institution, take time to scrutinize them. Take time to assess them. Listen to your instincts. Don't allow yourself to be rushed through the assessment. Don't allow yourself to be bullied by the institution to believe that you are being paranoid. No. Your instincts as a parent are unique and sharp. Only you, most of the time, can feel certain things regarding the dangers that your kid might be going to face. Don't ignore that feeling. Once again, RIP to the young Nicholas Dominici, and my condolences to his family members, and I pray they have the strength to go through this and also the trial when it resumes. I pray they find the justice they deserve. Until then, kindly subscribe to our channel if you are yet to do so. Turn on post notifications. Leave your comments in the comment section and share our videos so others may also learn and stay safe out there. Catch you next time.